У меня жопа сгорит от этого скоро, понимаешь? Блять, пиздец какой-то. У меня жопа горит, он падает, стрим у меня. Почему он падает, блядь? В чем проблема? Интернет падает у меня, что ли, блядь? Дец, блядь, какой-то.
You said you went to get the poison from Section C, and that's where you spilled the powder, right?
Yeah? What about it?
And after that, you said you moved from Section C to Section A to get the protein. But the footprints left at the scene were not moving from Section C to Section A. That contradicts what you just said.
Then maybe she moved in some weird direction on purpose to disguise her movements?
No, that can't be it. Remember what Hina just said?
What the? Hina, what's the meaning of this?
You lied to us. Plain, if you look at the footprints, your movements in the chem lab are obvious. The powder had already been spilled when you came in, and you went straight to Section A. So you never went to Section C. Whatever you did there, it only involved Section A.
Well,
What the hell? What's going on here?
And the footprints aren't the only problem with her account.
Яку я убийца? Уедь.
Before I explain that part, I'd like to submit some new evidence.
New evidence? Impossible, there can't be.
Are you sure? After all, you're the one that gave it to me.
I did?
It was hidden inside the bottle of poison you gave me. I'm amazed you, of all people, would miss such a vital clue. A truly grave oversight.
Дякую, это дякую.
Just say it already! What is it you think you found?
I found this. It had sunk to the bottom of the bottle, and the hidden clue was exposed, thanks to you ingesting the powder. I couldn't have solved the mystery without you. So, thank you for that.
But, what is it?
Oh, you still don't realize? Well then. Makoto, why don't you explain it?
О, я нихуя не понял.
Fine. If you really do know, explain the meaning of that shard of
А я
glass.
нихуя не понял. I got it! Все равно I got it, хотя я нихуя не
The window
ганит.
from the rec room door, right? The window? The window we broke to get in was light blue, just like that. So I think that must be it.
You're right. It must be. Of course, that leads to another question. How did a shard of glass from the window get inside this bottle of poison?
what's so strange about that?
What's strange is that, according to what Hina told us,
Блять. Да похуй, не идеально, ну и ладно. I got it! Я нихуя не ганит, пока не...
the bottle of poison was left on the shelf in the chem lab. That is what you said, right, Hina? And yet, Somehow a piece of glass from the rec room window made its way into the bottle.
Everything Hina told us was a lie?
Да?
In reality, that bottle of poison most definitely, it was there at least until the window got broken. In other words, when the locked room was unlocked. There's no other way to explain the presence of that glass in that bottle.
And then, once the room was opened, the bottle somehow got moved back to the shelf in the chem lab. Meanwhile, the protein can we found at the crime scene was planted there. That had to be after the locked room was opened. In other words, after Sakura died.
Wait, hold on. You're moving too fast. I'll grant you, the bottle of poison may well have been in the rec room when it was locked. But how can you say the protein can was put there after the room was unlocked? We already know she was given the protein can with the poison inside, right? If that can wasn't there when she died, how did she get poisoned?
You're right. We do need to explain that. But before we do, there's something I'd like to confirm with everyone here.
Huh?
It has to do with the protein can. After Sakura's body was discovered, did anyone move it or trip over it?
What are you talking about? Is this some kind of loaded question?
Not at all. Just answer to the best of your ability.
Well, no, not that I remember.
Yeah, me either.
Not me.
Same here. Yeah, me either.
Okay then, that settles it. That proves that the protein can found its way to the murder scene after the room was opened.
Oh, come on! How can you say that? How can you know what I don't know?
Рассыпанный порошок, пустой протеиновый шейкер.
When it comes to that protein can, there's not a doubt in my mind. Until the locked room was unlocked, it absolutely was not in there. It absolutely was not in there.
So you're saying someone planted it there after we got the door open?
No. No, that's impossible! It had to have been in there the whole time! It had to be!
It was in there before the rec room.
Нихуя не
was
понял,
unlocked.
подожди. Как, блять, он может быть открытый?
Shoot!
When it comes to that
Шкаф в
protein
лаборатории не может
there's not
никак.
a doubt in my mind. Until the locked room was unlocked, it absolutely was not in there.
So you're saying someone planted it there after we got the door open?
No. No, that's impossible! It had to have been in there the whole time! It had to
To be. It was in there.
No,
Тупо изи нахуй. Какой же я бешеный, а?
you remember how there was broken glass scattered all around the room, right?
Of course! It came from the window you broke to get in. What about it?
Well, those pieces weren't just scattered around the protein can. We also found pieces underneath the can.
What?
And this proves it. It shows that the can must have been put down on the floor after the window was broken. So it had to be after we got into the room.
I see. So Kyoko, earlier when you asked if anyone had moved the can or tripped over it,
If that were the case, that would explain the can being on top of the glass.
So you asked everyone about it to eliminate that possibility right out of the gate.
And that's made everything clear, hasn't it? As long as it was a locked room, it only contained the bottle of poison, and not the protein can. But once the room was opened up, they were switched, and as a result, the protein can wound up in the rec room, and the bottle of poison returned to the chem lab.
if that's all true, then why did Sakura drink the poison? I thought we all agreed she was tricked into drinking it because of the protein can.
No,
Тупая мерзость.
that's not why. The only explanation is she drank it from its original bottle, knowing exactly what it was.
Precisely. She was alone in a locked room. All she had was the poison. What other possibility is there?
You're saying she drank it knowing what it was? Such a ridiculous fiction is...
Exactly what happened.
Then tell us already. Sorry. Please, tell us.
Ебать, бедный бяк, вы думаете самый умный, а он тупой. Тупая подлива, сука, с говном.
Before we get to that, we need to clarify one other thing. We need to establish who exactly got the poison from the chem lab and took it to the rec room.
It was Hina, right? She took it and gave it to Ogre.
What do you think, Makoto?
Сакура, блядь.
Again!
Again! Ох, я помню, не на тапке было, блядь, да.
Sakura herself.
Huh? So Sakura, who was apparently murdered, just poisoned herself? What are you talking about? There's no way!
On the contrary, we know for a fact she went to the chem lab, right to the section full of poisons.
You're lying! Stop lying! Why? Why would you lie like that?
Бля, я помню, какое доказательство, потому что у меня на тапке было, блядь, след, ну след. Пизда тебе, дура, ебать, сейчас я тебя разъебу по понятиям, блядь.
You're a liar! What are you saying? Wrong! You're wrong! I'm telling you, I did it! Stop talking! You're a liar! Wrong! You're wrong! Wrong! You're wrong! I hate you! You're a liar! What are you saying? Wrong! You're wrong! I'm telling you, I did it! Stop talking! You're a liar!
Аня.
Do you have any kind of proof Sakura took the poison?
Есть.
Prove it.
Годы игры в Осу мне помогают. И опять стрим упал. Изи, понимаешь? Изи. Изи. Тупо изи. 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 Real talk. Think about it.
Hina, did you know that Sakura's foot had a certain yellow powder stuck to it?
It did?
It did. The same yellow powder that had been spilled by the shelf in the chem lab. That powder was yellow, wasn't it? So the powder we found on Sakura, what else could it be but the powder from the chem lab?
Wait. So, what was that powder doing on Ogre's foot?
And it was only on her instep, right?
Sakura must have been standing right there where the powder was spilled. So the person who spilled the powder by the shelf wasn't Hina, but Sakura. And when Sakura dropped the bottle, she dropped it away from where she was actually standing, which is how she was able to avoid getting it all over herself. But the powder still got scattered around, and some of it must have wound up on her instep. Is there any problem with my thinking?
But why did Sakura pay a visit to Section C and the only explanation is that she was looking for poison? After all, that's all that section contained.
No! It was me! The poison! Because
No, you didn't kill her.
О, подожди, в смысле? Не понял. Подожди-ка. Бля, я так и думал, что Сакура суицид сделала. Бля, я хотел выбрать Сакуру, сука. Я вообще думал, бля, ну труп выбрать, типа, а потом как будет делать казнь, типа, что-то я не понял.
Here's my answer.
Блядь, я прав был, сука. Это обидно, блядь.
The one who killed Sakura was Sakura herself.
What? The killer was Sakura?
Wait, so you're saying it was suicide?
I don't
Да, осуждаю.
I don't believe it any more than I believe I can fly.
I can't believe it either. Or rather, I don't want to believe it. But when you really think about it, everything matches up. Sakura went and got the poison. She barricaded herself in a room, and she drank it, all so she could end her own life. And that explains why we couldn't solve the mystery of the locked room. I got it! The locked room
I got
mystery
it,
was
блядь.
created by Sakura.
I'm sure she locked herself in so nobody could stop her from doing what she did. She sat there, drank the poison, and breathed her last breath. And the empty bottle of poison rolled around the locked room until we came and opened it. At that point, someone grabbed the bottle and snuck it out of the room. And that was you, wasn't it, Hina? You did it to throw off the investigation, didn't you?
Какой теперь казнь?
When we
Казни не
found her
будет,
body,
бля.
You stayed right there near the door. Because you already knew Sakura was dead. And because the bottle of poison had